Okay, so you know what? Let's start this.
Yep, let
And
me just adjust
oh,
my.
you tell me when. Yeah,
Yeah, good, good, good.
we're good.
Yep.
Hey, Russ, how are you, man?
All right. What's going on, Dan?
Well, I sent you some stuff, and I figured, I don't know if you would have liked to have done or not liked to have done just a one company type thing, but you seem to be okay with it, and I guess there's nothing wrong with doing one company. So today we chose Cornell and Deal.
Okay.
So you're good with that?
Yeah, yeah. I have history with Cornell and Diehl. When we were getting Hearth and Home off the ground, everything was in bulk, and people wanted some of the tobaccos tinned. And the only company that would allow us to blend the tobacco and then tin it for us was Cornell and Diehl.
Okay. Is this
The previous owner of PNC and I went down to North Carolina, which is where they were at the time, in Morganton. And we met up with Craig and Patty Tarler, who owned Cornell and Diehl at the time. And we had nice conversation. And after that, I would ship the tobacco down to them already blended, and they would tin it up and send it back to us. It was a bit of a pain, but it allowed us to have tinned tobacco.
so you said
uh,
you would ship the tobacco. How do you ship so much tobacco?
I'd pack it up in 5-pound bags, put it in cartons, and we'd palletize it and ship it down.
How many pallets?
In the beginning, we actually could just ship cartons. Um, when we were just at the point of moving manufacturing to Sutliff, we were sending a couple of pallets down at a time.
And is there? I mean, uh, C and D couldn't handle the amount. That's what you had to go to.
No, 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 no. They were great. We had a good working relationship with them. It wasn't that. It was we had shipping costs going down to them, shipping costs coming back to us, plus the cost of tinning, and we were able to strike a deal with, bless you, Sutliff, where they would actually manufacture the tobaccos
Right. So
for
no
us.
shipping, no shipping involved.
No shipping involved. They would just package it up, and we were good to go. It was a big savings.
Well, no kidding, man. Imagine today.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, forget it. You're out of business. All right, here we go, Russ.
Okay.
I'm gonna start with pirate cake.
Pirate cake.
Now, what do we have in pirate cake?
It's a lap bomb.
Okay. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean it's harsh, bitter?
No, no. It's just very heavy in Latakia. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking it's around 60% Latakia.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
And you know, and for that reason, the other tobaccos don't matter as much, just because the Latakia is far and away the dominant note in the blend.
So why not just make it 100% Latakia?
Because of the price of Latakia, I would guess. Latakia is quite a bit more expensive than Virginias or Burleys.
Excuse
Bless
me,
you.
Russ. I don't know what's going on. Anyway,
You're smoking too much.
and so okay. What kind of a smoke is this? Would you call this in English?
Yeah, I would call it in English. But it's in American English.
An
because
American English. So what's
yeah,
American about it that's not English about it?
American English is a really loose term, but basically it means an English that's got some burly in it.
So the English in an
Would not
English
have burly.
does not have burly.
No, a true English per se is Latakia, Virginia, and possibly Orientals.
Okay. So what does the Oriental offer me in a Latakia blend?
It has an interesting synergy with Latakia. It can amplify some of the characteristics of Latakia and it elevates it. A good example of that is Bengal Slices.
Right.
Bengal Slices has got a good amount of Orientals in it, and that's where that incense like aroma comes from
Okay.
because it's the combination of certain Orientals like Yaniji and Basma working together with the Latakia, and that's going to deliver that incense flavor and aroma.
Now, is there any way you can smoke a bowl of Izmir or a bowl of Yanij? I forget what you called it. Is there any way you can smoke that
Yeah, sure,
alone? Alone, just alone.
sure.
Really.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you may or may not find it interesting, but sure you could smoke them alone.
Wait, it's gonna smoke like it's gonna smell like your grandmother's house.
No. It's a lot more subtle than that. As I said, it's the synergy between the Latakia and the Orientals. It's not the Orientals themselves that deliver that aroma.
And what kind of person would smoke pirate cake?
Basically, somebody who's a real Latakia-phile. Somebody who just loves Latakia.
And Latakia offers you what in terms of flavor?
Smokiness, basically.
So it's like drinking a peated scotch.
Yeah, like Lafroig
Yeah.
peated scotch.
So why would you want that pungent flavor in your face all the time?
I don't know. Why do people dip their pizza in ranch dressing?
I didn't even know that. You shouldn't have told me that.
Yeah. There are
You shouldn't
people
have told
who
me
do
that.
that. You know,
But are there the people who smoke this on a regular basis? Are their taste buds shot or not?
I would say probably some of them, yeah.
Really, eh?
It depends on whether that's their regular go-to smoke or not. If you're smoking nothing but that, I would say that your taste buds are kind of deadened. If you smoke it as an occasional change of pace, then no. But if you're smoking that 4 or 5 times a day, every day, I would say that your taste buds are going to suffer a bit.
And would that be true of any other tobacco, like smoking a Virginia every day or smoking a Burley every day? Is it the same thing or no? Latakia special?
Yeah, Latakia is special because of the intensity of the flavor. It's a very intense flavor. I mean, Latakia, even 5% in the blend is noticeable.
Really, a 5%, and pirate cake is like 60 to 70%, man.
Yeah.
And is it a smooth smoke?
Yeah, Latakia is a very easy smoking tobacco. It burns very slow. Basically, the smoke layer that saturates the tobacco kind of acts as an insulator. so it slows the burn down. Very cool, tons of flavor. So you're not as predisposed to puff hard or fast,
And what about
because
nicotine?
it's moderate to mellow in
Really,
nicotine,
eh?
but flavor wise it delivers so much flavor that there's no reason to smoke it hard.
Okay, okay. So and it it produces a lot of smoke.
Yeah, a good
Okay.
amount.
So like, what kind of meal would you have previously to be smoking something like that, or in preparation to smoking pirate cake?
I would go for something pretty hearty. Chili would be,
Chili, eh?
yeah, chili would be a good choice. A good steak. Um, but something fairly intense in flavor. Indian food would go very well,
Really? Okay, that's interesting. That's
like
interesting.
a chicken tikka masala,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
something that's got a lot of herbal character and everything else. Would be good just because it'd be a big contrast.
Okay. So so when you're pairing foods and tobaccos, you don't want to have similar tastes. You want to have contrasting tastes.
My theory on pairings, whether it's beverages or food, is match the body, contrast the flavors.
I like that. Very good. I like that.
Just to give you an example, um, if I'm going to have a Latakia heavy blend like that, and I'm going to have something to drink with it, I would go with a bourbon,
A bourbon, eh?
because bourbon has a natural sweetness. It's not terribly smoky. So but bourbon is a medium to full bodied flavor,
So
depending
you wouldn't go
on.
with a rye bourbon type thing.
Rye would be okay. Rye would be okay because Latakia is not spicy.
Okay.
Rye is spicy.
Mm.
Um, so maybe even the best dancer would be a high rye bourbon, like Wild Turkey 101.
Okay. Okay.
That would be a good choice because you've got the sweetness and you've got some heat, which is very much a contrast to the smoky smoothness of Latakia.
My God, I love these conversations. You should teach a class.
I did actually.
But this is fantastic. I mean, anyways,
About 15 years ago, a college was having their they had a group of people who were going into food service commercially, and they had one class of people who wanted to be sommeliers, or they wanted to work in cigar bars and things like that. And so they had me come in to do a class on beverage pairings with tobacco products.
that's beautiful. So if I can get you a gig in Paris at the Cordon Bleu, would you
Oh,
take it?
shit, yeah.
But there's gotta be somebody like that there, man. Come on, man. Anyways, and
I
talking
would
about
I would think they probably have people on
for sure,
staff.
for sure. And talking about Frenchmen's in Paris, remember those cigarettes Gauloise?
Gauloise, yeah.
Now, what's up with that? Why are they so different?
They use some very strong tobaccos. They use a type of burley that's pretty high in nicotine.
Now
And
these are not processed the same way as American type cigarettes are processed, right?
no, American cigarettes, if they use burley, they use mellower varieties like the white burleys or mahogany burleys. They don't use dark burley. But the Gauloise and Gitane,
Yeah.
they used some heavily fermented burleys, and the fermentation helps develop a higher nicotine content.
Now, my question actually was more specific to that, and I don't know if you would know. I don't know how big Gitan or Gauloise company is, or I don't know who makes them, but you think they're processed like um, a North American type tobacco where they put all these chemicals and crap in it?
Probably not needed, just because they use stronger tobaccos.
Yeah, okay. Okay. And what type of pipe would you smoke this in, Russ? The pirate cake.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to ask me what kind of pipe I should smoke Gauloise in.
Yeah, you know.
Actually, they used to sell the tobacco in pouches
Wow, that's
for
interesting.
hand rolling.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
it was Gauloise Caporal.
And they don't have that anymore?
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Okay.
Probably still have it in Europe. Pirate cake, I would smoke in a wide open bowl.
Okay,
I would look for a chamber about 7/8 diameter.
like a Savinelli 320 something there? What do you call it?
I think those are still like a 3/4 inch chamber.
Whoa, you're talking biggie wiggy, man.
Yeah, like a big open pot
So
would
it's
be
not
a good.
it's not the depth here.
No, the reason I would prefer, that's a very slow burning tobacco because of the high latakia content. You need more oxygen to make sure that the pipe doesn't keep going out on you. So a wider chamber will do that. So for a heavy latakia smoke like that, or Larry's blend in my Hearth and Home Signature series, you want a pipe that's going to allow more air to come in
Okay.
to keep the tobacco burning.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Good tips there, Russ. And this blend was created by Craig Tarler, right?
Yeah.
And you know him personally?
Oh yeah. Craig and I, well, Craig has since passed.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, Craig and I used to tease each other unmercifully
Okay.
because I didn't process the tobacco from the beginning. I didn't case it or whatever. I had other people doing that for me. You know, he used to say I was a mixer, not a blender. And I used to tell him that he never met a burley he didn't like, because he put burley in blends
In
where I
everyone,
never
yeah.
would. So,
Is there Burley and pirate cake?
yes,
There you go. Okay, we're gonna go on to the next one, Russ.
go.
One which not that it matters on this show, but one that I really like for some reason, and I want to know why I like it. It's Exhausted Rooster.
Okay, Exhausted Rooster.
What do we got?
You've got Virginias. You've got a dark-fired form of burley. And you've got Perique in there. So it's going to be particularly satisfying because the dark-fired burley's got a decent nicotine content. And then you've got Perique, which facilitates the absorption of nicotine. So Exhausted Rooster is a fairly hefty blend. It's got a good amount of kick to it. It's not over the top in that regard, but it definitely has above average nick hit.
So not a beginner smoke.
I would not consider it a beginner smoke, no.
And is your dark burley, is that what they call Kentucky?
I don't believe it is. I believe that it's just the form, a different form of burley that they fired. Otherwise, they would have said dark fired Kentucky.
And there's no Kentucky in there at all?
I don't believe so, but I could be mistaken.
Okay, I don't know why I have some Kentucky in there. I used to have the bowl right over here. I don't have it anymore. That's just the way it is.
Well, you know, some people see dark fired burley and they automatically assume it's Kentucky.
And why is that?
Because there aren't a lot of tobaccos that are dark fired.
Really?
Latakia, dark fired Kentucky, and then there are some offshoots like a dark fired burley. My Hearth and Home Marquis Viprati has a dark fired burley in it, but it's not Kentucky.
Now, because it's processed more labor intensive, does that mean the price is higher?
Yeah, because but you don't use very much in a blend.
Oh, okay. That's how strong it is, eh?
It's more assertive flavor wise, so you don't want to overdo it.
And would you say it's bitter? This tobacco is bitter?
You mean the blend?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't call it bitter.
Russ, hold on a second. I have to pause this. I just heard the door. Give me a second.
Yep. I don't know if I'm supposed to continue talking at this point, but I'll ramble for a little bit, and if he wants to use it, he can. If he doesn't, cut it out. It's a very interesting tobacco. I've smoked it. I like it. It's not an everyday type of tobacco for me, though.
Who the hell are you talking to?
I just figured I'd throw some crap in there while you were gone.
No, it wasn't the door. It's so windy here that something must have knocked on the door.
Oh.
Anyways, okay. Yeah, the bitterness of tobacco. The reason why I asked this, I don't remember if this one was bitter. I don't remember. It's funny, and I just smoked it this morning, and I don't remember.
It's got enough Virginia in it. I wouldn't consider it bitter.
What gives us the bitter taste in a tobacco, in a blend, I mean?
It could be individual tobaccos. It could also be the interplay between tobaccos in the blend.
Okay, because I find sometimes that if that's the first thing I get in a smoke, it's too astringent for me, man. It's dry, very dry. You know.
Yeah, you know, you'll get that drying effect at times from Virginias. They're somewhat acidic.
Yeah.
Even though they're sweet, they are somewhat acidic. Okay. And that can give you a drying feeling in your mouth.
So this was blended by Tony /Tarler.
Yeah. Craig would work with other people on blends at different times. I don't know which Tony that's in reference to, but Craig used to do that fairly frequently.
Okay. Um, so Exhausted Rooster, but Exhausted Rooster is becoming one of my go-tos for some reason. I really enjoy it. I find it very round. What gives me that roundness?
The roundness would be from the burley and also from the perique, because when we're talking about roundness, we're generally referring to depth of flavor, or what some people call a base note.
So does this have a lot of bass notes, or
Yeah, between the burley and the perique, a fair amount of base. Yeah,
would you say that Pirate Cake is bassy?
it's bassy, but from a different aspect.
Okay.
Latakia just has a very intense flavor,
Okay.
and so it has a bass note too. But it's a bass note without a lot of kick to it.
Okay, I see. Okay. And Exhausted Rooster, man. What kind of person would like this?
Somebody with a decent tolerance for nicotine, um, but who don't want the smokiness of Latakia. And it's kind of the step up from the over-the-counter burley blends.
Oh, okay.
Like if somebody who smoked Carter Hall
Right.
wanted to make a move into more natural tasting tobaccos, this would be a good choice because the base tobaccos are somewhat similar,
Okay.
but the addition of perique and the firing of the burley will add more intensity of flavor and also a little bit more of a kick.
So, in preparation to smoking Exhausted Rooster, what type of meal would you have?
Um, because it has such depth, I would go for something along the lines of a stew.
Really, eh?
Yeah, meatloaf, uh, well seasoned chicken breast.
So this is not a summer smoke.
Uh, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say that. It's pretty much an all year type of smoke. It's got enough depth for cooler weather, but it's not so heavy that I would ignore it during the summer.
And what kind of bowl would you smoke this in?
Um, there I would go with your average chamber. 3/4
Okay.
inch chamber would be fine.
And what kind of drink would you drink with this?
Dark rum.
Dark rum, eh?
Yep.
Because you're saying go same body,
Yep.
contrasting flavor. So you're saying this is not a very sweet tobacco. Is that right?
No, I would not consider it sweet.
Okay. Okay. See, I've learned something. I've retained it. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. And this was one of my first comeback tobaccos when I picked it up a couple of years ago again, because I've been smoking a pipe since I was 18, but I stopped for a while. Briar Fox.
That was a comeback tobacco for you, huh?
Well, I mean, I don't know why, man. I don't know why. And this is blended by Peter Heeschen.
Peter Heeschen is a Danish pipe maker. It was blended for him.
For him. So that's interesting because I don't associate the Danes with this tobacco at all.
Really? Because Danes love Virginias.
Okay, but this one here has a pretty I don't know if it's prominent to me, but there's a cigarette taste to it.
Well, that's the heavy Virginias, yeah.
The heavy Virginia. Okay, so like so this is just a Virginia blend.
And Perique, if I remember correctly.
Okay, now I don't have the stats here. And
But
I
I could be wrong.
and I find this tobacco dry, not the in the
The-
mouthfeel, very dry.
It's the Virginias. It's the Virginias. But the Danes love Virginias.
But I thought
I
the
mean,
Danes love
I-
aromatic-y type Virginias.
No, not in my experience. In fact, probably the most common tobacco smoked by Danish pipe makers, at least the ones that I've talked to, is Orlik Golden Sliced.
Yeah, but that's completely different than this. That one has a citrusy, but on top a top note of citrus.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I guess this being a Virginia, there's nothing more to say about this. It's just straight head Virginia with a bit of Perique. You're saying it's
Yeah.
one of their best sellers.
It is. It is. What sets it apart is the fact that it's a pressed tobacco. So that has something to do with it.
So then, why don't I get that cigarette-y taste in other Virginias?
Oh, you will if you drive them a hair too hard.
Okay.
You take a Virginia and smoke it too fast, and you'll get that ashtray flavor.
So I guess, Russ, that tells you that I know how to smoke a Virginia, right?
That's also why I recommend smoking a tobacco like that in a narrow chamber.
In a narrower chamber.
Right. I've got a few pipes that are 5/8 in diameter as far as the chamber goes. And that's what I'll smoke Virginias in. And for the opposite reason, for using an open chamber for pirate cake.
Right.
You want to restrict the airflow so that the tobacco burns cooler so you don't get those off flavors.
Look at that. Okay. And is this a beginner tobacco, Russ?
No,
Really? Yeah.
Virginias are not a beginner tobacco. I'll bet you more people who tried a Virginia early on in smoking a pipe gave up the pipe because of it.
Yeah.
Too much heat, off flavors, and Virginias don't kick out a lot of smoke. And newer pipe smokers are looking for that big, thick cloud of smoke. So I recommend Burley blends and Latakia blends to newer smokers because then they're going to get the smoke that they're looking for.
Yeah, I know. I'm just laughing because I'm trying to think of a new guy smoking one of these and puffing away. His mouth is just gonna burn.
Oh my God. He'll be drinking ice water for days afterwards just to get his tongue back to normal.
So, and I'm assuming the meal that you're preparing it yourself for this tobacco is going to be light.
Absolutely.
Sushi.
Sushi would be fine. A fish dish that's not overly spiced. Poultry. Something along that line. A salad would be fine. Although
If you're a vegetarian.
who the hell eats salad? Um,
Oh God.
I mean, to me, if you put any vegetables in a meatloaf, it becomes a salad.
What about eggs? You okay with eggs in the meatloaf?
Yeah, I put eggs in my meatloaf.
Okay. So enough of Briar Fox. It's funny, I don't smoke it that often. I bought a pound of it, and I don't smoke it that often.
It's a very nice blend. But I'm not an everyday Virginia guy.
You're not?
I like it as a change of pace, but
I thought you were a Virginia guy, man.
I don't find them terribly interesting.
Virginia.
They're kind of one note. So I'm not. That's why the majority of the Virginia blending I've done includes Perique, because Perique makes it much more interesting to the palate, in my mind.
Okay. Yeah, everybody's got the different tastes, but your
Yep.
tastes are a little bit more educated and elevated than the regular. Come on.
I know what I like, and that's
Yeah.
what I smoke.
So now we're going to go to a Bob Brunowski tobacco, and it's called Haunted House. What's up with this?
Haunted Bookshop.
That's what I didn't write down, but that's what I meant. Haunted Bookshop, Haunted House, for God's sake.
Haunted Bookshop is one of their big ones. Has been for a long time. It is definitely a
Would you
straight.
call it in English? Or a vapor? Is this a vapor?
To me, it's it's more of a burley blend. It's Hold on a second here.
So it's funny, all these master blenders, including yourself, hold burley in high regard.
Yeah,
Because it's not just a filler tobacco. It's a flavor enhancer, man.
In some cases, it's the tobacco equivalent of water, because you can use it to thin a blend, because it doesn't have a tremendous amount of flavor on its own. It's if we're talking about white burley. White burley is kind of a walnut or a pecan flavor.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a terribly strong, assertive flavor. So you can mix it in with other tobaccos to kind of lighten it. But at the same time, you're not reducing the body, because burley's got a good amount of body, even if it doesn't have a huge amount of flavor. Now, dark burley has both. And the main difference between dark burley and white burley is that dark burley is heavily fermented. It's fermented like cigar tobacco is. And so it has very earthy, spicy flavor. But we're not talking about that kind of burley in Haunted Bookshop.
Okay.
And Bob Ranowski was known for burley blends.
Okay.
And so it's burley in Virginia, and it's got some Perique. And for a long time, a lot of people didn't think that burley and perique went together very well. But I disagree with that. I think if you want a tobacco that isn't overly heavy in flavor, but has a satisfying nick hit, one way to do that is to put some perique in with your burley.
It's funny you say that satisfying nick hit. Now, if I get too much of a nick hit, Russ, I get nauseous.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Most
So
people do.
why are we looking for the nick hit? Isn't there a heavily bodied, for example, a haunted bookshop? It's got body haunted bookshop.
Yeah.
Let's say you were to remove the nicotine, would it be the same tobacco?
No.
Okay.
No. No, the nicotine, when you get the right amount of nicotine and you're a veteran pipe smoker, it's a very calming effect. It actually mellows you out. That's why, if you're going to have a strong bowl, best time to do it is in the evening because it calms you down and preps you for getting off to sleep.
Now, does it inhibit your sleep like alcohol does?
I don't suggest smoking a bowl right before you crawl into bed, but if you have a bowl an hour or two before you go to bed, it'll give you that relaxing feeling enough that by the time you get under the covers, you should be pretty relaxed. Nicotine's a very odd product because depending upon how much you have at any given time, it can produce opposite effects. If you get enough nicotine and not too much, it gives you that relaxed, calm effect. If you get too much, it can make you agitated. Gives you
The shakes, yeah.
some twitchiness.
So I mean, off topic here. So why are we not addicted to? Why are pipe smokers generally not addicted to pipe smoking as cigarette smokers are to cigarettes?
It's because of the absorption of nicotine. There's something called the blood-brain barrier, where chemicals come into your system and then they go through your bloodstream and get into the brain. A cigarette smoker lights up a cigarette, and the amount of time it takes for the nicotine to hit the brain is between 7 and 25 seconds. But for a cigar or a pipe smoker who doesn't inhale, it takes approximately 20 minutes.
Really?
So it's a more gradual introduction, and you get a lower level that lasts a little bit longer.
It's like as if it's dosed or something.
Yeah, and the reason for that is you have so much surface area in your lungs. You've got all those tiny little alveoli. They're like little grapes, bunches of grapes in the lungs. So you inhale cigarette smoke, and all the surface area of all those alveoli are exposed to nicotine, and they absorb it very quickly and send it off to the brain. But when you smoke a pipe or a cigar, the only place that nicotine is absorbed is through the mucous membranes of the mouth and the tongue. So it takes a lot longer, and it's a more measured dose. And it's that burst that gives cigarette smokers that kick that they're looking for.
God, I don't want that kick.
Did you ever smoke cigarettes?
Once I inhaled, I was in 8th grade. I smoked. The whole world went like this, and I fell on the ground, and that was the last time ever that I smoked cigarettes.
I unfortunately smoked them for a number of years, although I probably went the easier route because the cigarettes that I would smoke were all Virginia tobacco. And Virginia is very mellow in terms of nicotine hit. But a lot of people talk about that first cigarette in the morning, and they get that blast of nicotine because they tend to smoke that first cigarette faster and harder, and you'll get that buzz from that first cigarette of the day. It'll make you lightheaded.
Christ, if you want a buzz, do heroin. Don't smoke cigarettes.
There you go. Heroin's cheaper.
And it's easier to get off of. Bloody hell.
No.
No, of course not.
Let's not go there.
No. No. But, okay. So a haunted bookshop. Did we talk about what you would eat with this?
This one's, kind of a medium-bodied tobacco. It's maybe on the stronger side of medium, but it's still kind of medium-bodied. So you could get away with, spaghetti and meatballs, chicken parm, something like that. There's certainly enough contrast with the sweetness of the sauce with the not terribly sweet flavor of Haunted Bookshop, but they would both be kind of medium bodied in terms of flavor.
And so you wouldn't call this in English, right? Would you
no,
call
it has no latakia.
Okay, all right. Sorry, my mistake. Sometimes I fly off.
It's all right.
And what, medium bowl with this?
Yeah, average size bowl.
Okay, and let's go on to the last one. And I kept the last one because it's quite interesting. Gentleman caller.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
That's an oddball, and funny enough, I had a blend in my lineup of the Hearth and Home Signature Series that was kind of similar to Gentleman Caller.
Yeah.
And it was called Capital Stairs. And it was a Virginia Burley blend that had a bit of Perique, and it also contained initially deer tongue. And then later on, we had to move away from deer tongue because we were concerned about the coumarin content. Deer tongue is an herb. It's the leaves of the Carolina vanilla plant, and it does have a vanilla-like aroma to it. It's very similar to Tonkin in terms of aroma and flavor. And both of them contain coumarin, so that unique spicy vanilla flavor that you get from deer tongue, you also can get from Tonkin. So it's the coumarin that produces that aroma and that flavor.
Now, what's in this blend other than the deer tongue?
Virginias and Burleys, and a bit of Perique.
Now, okay, this deer tongue thing, it's this is not an all day smoke because anybody who smokes this all day eats perfume. Uh, as far as I'm concerned. Now, if you're gonna use deer tongue, then why don't you use oregano or marjoram or bay leaves and stuff like that?
I would guess that they would produce a very bitter flavor when burned.
What about basil?
When you cook with any of those herbs,
Yeah, you're right.
what
You're
happens
right.
when
You're
you
right
burn
again.
them?
Yes, you're right. 100%.
When you burn them, they become very bitter. So that's probably the reason. The Carolina vanilla plant produces leaves that, when they're dried and burned, produce a very pleasant aroma.
Hmm.
And again, that's because of the coumarin content. But coumarin is a blood thinner.
That's what you were talking about in another episode of ours. That which tobacco had coumarin and they had to stop it because it was a blood thinner. An
Well,
Irish tobacco or something like that.
um,
Was it Warhorse?
that's not ringing a bell for me. Oh, Warhorse had some other much worse things in it.
Okay, okay,
Old Warhorse, the
okay.
Irish Warhorse,
Yeah.
had stuff in it. I swear to God, after I took a look at the list,
Hmm.
because when the people who acquired the trademark got it, they also got some of the original Warhorse unopened, and they sent a bar to an Israeli um, chemical company that did a full spectral analysis. And when they let me see what was in it, when I got toward the bottom of the list, I was expecting to see gunpowder. There was stuff in that blend that I thought, oh my God, how the hell did they get away with that even back then?
So would you smoke it if someone offered you a bowl of that today?
I did. I did. They gave me a bar of it too.
And
It was
no,
it was a monumental pain in the ass to cut. I mean,
really.
yeah, it was like a rock. And I put it in a clay because I wanted to smoke it in a small bowl. And just really strong.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
Is that something you would smoke on occasion today or no?
Yeah, maybe a couple of times a year.
Yeah, okay, okay. So it's nothing compared to the strength in the Warhorse, the new Warhorse right now, right?
No, they're similar in strength,
Holy moly, okay.
but the newer version, if I have to pat myself on the back a
Does not
little,
have any gunpowder, yeah.
it's much more pleasant tasting, and the aroma is much nicer.
We're gonna talk about those. I want to talk about those two blends one day, the red and the green, and what's
Sure,
going on.
sure.
But this gentleman caller, what kind of person smokes this?
Probably an aromatic smoker who wants to get away from the cherry and vanilla flavors and go to a more natural aromatic. Um, that deer tongue, Lakeland smokers would like it because the Lakeland tobaccos use Tonkin fairly frequently, and it's a very similar flavor to Tonkin. So I would say, yeah, either aromatics or Lakeland smokers.
Okay, so then it's not as weird as I thought it was to have deer tongue in this blend.
No, deer tongue used to be used in a tremendous amount of over-the-counter tobaccos.
Really?
Yeah, at one time, I would say, 10 to 20% of the over-the-counter burley blends used deer tongue as a flavoring agent.
Now, in when I look at this blend, I see chunks of deer tongue in the leaf.
Yeah,
Why didn't they just pulverize it and you know
I don't know. Probably because that's the way they buy it. Um, if you want to buy deer tongue today, about the only place you can buy it is companies that sell components for making potpourri.
that's why. That's why.
So
Uh,
when you get it, they've already cut the leaves into flakes.
yeah, I saw a statement that some guy says that some old ladies they take this tobacco and they use it as potpourri type thing.
Yeah, the deer tongue is used in making potpourris.
But isn't this a plant? Deer tongue, right? It's a plant.
Yeah,
And where is it grown? This plant?
mostly the eastern seaboard of the U.S.,
Okay,
mid-Atlantic.
that's my area.
Huh?
Well, I'm
Of,
in Quebec.
of the U.S.
Okay, New York. You know what I'm saying?
New York isn't on the coast,
Okay.
except for Long Island,
Yeah. So
and
what?
we
You have?
don't. New Yorkers don't pay attention to Long Island. We'd like to cut it loose and push it into the ocean.
Sorry, I'm sorry I said something.
That's okay.
So what kind of a bowl was this? Would be a small bowl type tobacco?
No, no, you could smoke this in an average size chamber.
And what do you eat? What do you eat with this? Roses?
I would go in the opposite direction again. So here I would go for something maybe with a little bit of spice. Um, you know what I would have with this? A hamburger with a slice of pepper jack cheese.
That's pretty specific, man. Pepper jack cheese, eh?
Yeah, well, because a hamburger is not spicy, but
No.
the addition of pepper jack cheese gives you just a little bit of spice. And so, the body is there. They're similar in body, but the spice will contrast that perfumey aspect. So that would be a decent choice in my mind.
And what kind of a drink? A sherry?
No, because that perfumey aspect is kind of a sweetness. So sherry is not where I would go. You know where I might go with this? Gin.
Oh my god! But it's a gin's a perfumey, man.
Yeah, but there's a bitterness to gin.
Yeah, yeah,
This is more of a sweet perfume.
yeah. You're right. Again, you're right.
So
I can't help it.
I think gin would go well, especially a mixed drink, a gin and tonic.
I love gin and tonic.
During the summer, there's nothing better.
Now, what a mojito is rum with what's those
Mint.
leaves? Mint. What happens if you have rum and deer tongue? Does that work?
Rum is sweet,
and deer tongue is sweet.
and deer tongue is sweet.
Right. And
So
I
I
got
would
you.
I would definitely go more bitter, and gin and tonic especially. Gin and tonic has some sweetness to it. The
Yeah.
tonic
Yeah.
has some sweetness to it, but it's also bitter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think a gin and tonic would be a great choice. I wound up going to a business meeting in August in Las Vegas one year, when I had to walk a block down the street to get a cigar, and it was 116 degrees out. And so what got me through the week was going into the casino, where obviously it's air conditioned, and I sat there playing video poker just so I could get free gin and tonics.
Oh man. Well, Russ, thanks again for doing this, man. The check is in the mail.
Okay.
And yeah, I just don't wait for it.
Our delivery's been terrible lately.
Yeah,
I haven't gotten any of the other checks.
Canada Post, man. What can I tell you? Um, Thanks. I learned so much. I have a lot of fun. And next time, if we do some of your blends, are you comfortable with doing your blends, Russ?
I'm comfortable talking about where they came from,
Yeah.
the ideas behind them.
The
It's
same
kind
thing
of
like
hard.
this. You know, I'm gonna ask you about the foods that would go with that or this and that.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're into it,
that would
I'd
be
love to do
fine.
that.
That would
Yeah,
be fine. I can't get too analytical about the blends I make, because when I have an idea, it's not necessarily my idea.
I got
It
you.
might be a suggestion from a customer, that sort of thing. So a lot of times when I blended something, it's not because I like that particular type of tobacco.
I see. I see. Okay, but I mean, we're not here to criticize the tobacco. We're here to dissect
No,
it.
no, and certainly we can do that with my tobaccos. Um, some of them I'm not going to be as neutral about,
I
because
understand.
some of them I blended because I wanted to. And generally, those I have a certain passion for what went into it.
I got. Yeah, I understand. Okay, Russ. À la prochaine.
Okay.
That's French for see you later.
Yeah.
That's true.
We'll catch you on the flip.